pet's address is the finest in Paris? Which pets possess the longest pedigree? Which pets get to sleep on velvet
As I
mats?
said in my last video about Disney movies, Aristocats is one of my favorite movies from them. That's highly debatable, depending on a lot of people. But I really do like it. And this, sorry, Matt Pat, is a film theory. Would Edgar's plan actually work? I mean, there are several factors to actually think about here. Lifespan, what kind of food he feeds them, how good he takes care of the cats, how long is it going to take for, um, uh, lady, I don't remember what her name is, to die in order for Edgar to get the will money, and how long will Edgar have to wait for the will to take place? There's a lot of things, and I'm going to try and do this the best I can with doing absolutely no research. Well, I've done a little bit. I mean, the first thing I'm going to do is, in a real world, realistic scenario, would his plan work? His original plan. Well, we actually don't know what Edgar's original plan is. But I guess maybe if you read the book, I mean, I suppose you could get what his original plan is. I mean, the farthest it goes is explaining that Edgar puts the cats to sleep, and then he's going to take them somewhere, but then they fall out of the motorcycle along the way. In a realistic scenario, would the cat survive? No, absolutely not. Not domestic cats. I mean, fully domestic cats, anyways. Well, there's basically no chance of them surviving, especially not kittens. But, I mean, in a cartoon setting, I mean, anything can happen, but let's assume that this is, like, not like the craziest cartoon in the world, which it isn't. Um, um, uh, I mean, would his plan work? Um, what depends on what things he does differently and what he decides to do. If Edgar goes with the easiest plan and waits for the old lady to die and then wait for however long it takes for the will to come into effect, I'm assuming it comes into effect pretty soon after the person dies, and then wait however long to get to be able to be able to get the inheritance money. Once he waits that time, I mean, there's nothing really in the will, as far as we can tell, originally that says that. It just says that when the cat's lifespan is done, all of the cat's lifespans at the time are done, that Edgar inherits the fortune. So, if they were to mysteriously die pretty soon after the will takes effect and Edgar is able to get the inheritance, I mean, they're cats. I mean, I mean, the oldest one, they'll probably only live a couple more years. The kittens, I mean, without their mom, and I mean, just with each other and Edgar, I mean, Edgar can possibly just feed them whatever, and then they could possibly die soon, and I mean, there's not really a way to tell at the time that this movie is made that he fed them something wrong to intentionally get rid of them. So, yes, that plan would work. And that's really a really simple option. Now, what about plan 2? Plan 2 involves Edgar actually taking the cats. Of course, in every scenario, Edgar has to hear that he's going to be included in the will because he's got to know that he's got to get rid of these cats, or at least, you know, wait for them to die, you know? So, what is plan 2. Well, this is technically plan 3 because the first plan was the real world thing. But so this is plan, I don't know, I guess 3. But so what was Edgar's original plan? Well, I mean, based on what he says near the end of the movie, he was originally planning on driving to some kind of port and then putting the cats on a ship and sending them away, or just dropping them off somewhere pretty far away from where they were, so that way they wouldn't be able to find their way home. Now, today, if you look up what the numbers for this kind of thing happening, it's actually been documented as pretty high because people can't afford to take their pets and they just can't be bothered, unfortunately, to put them in a shelter at the least, or so they will literally put their small pets in a bag and throw them in the river. I mean, just like you would see in the old cartoon. And even more recently, there's been boxes in alleyways or on the sides of roads that are uh, duct tape, packaging tape shut uh, in order to just, straight up kill them. But it's just really bad. But yeah, you can actually find out what the numbers for this kind of thing happening is. Now, there isn't exact numbers, but from what we can tell, it's actually pretty common, unfortunately. Alright, so plan 3 is A-okay, because I mean, the cats might find their way home, but I mean, based on what time of year they get home in the movie, I mean, it took them a few days to come home. Based on how far away Edgar puts them away from the house, and based on where they travel, usually with the old lady, he could potentially confuse them enough that they wouldn't come home until after she died, or not come home at all. But I mean, the old lady wondering where her cats were actually set off the whole chain of events of where everyone was starting to look for them. So, plan 2 is probably Edgar's best bet if he wants to do this, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to see what plan is possible in each world, in each scenario, and basically each situation for the most optimal outcome where basically no one suspects a thing. Plan 4. This one is a little. I suppose that Edgar could. I don't know what to do for this one. I mean, Edgar basically stays home most of the time in the original plan that he does in the movie. But what about plan 4? Plan 4 basically takes account of the sleeping thing that Edgar gave the cats. He could probably take them realistically to somewhere, I don't know, just leave them there and give them some, I don't know, poison basically, and that would be that. And I mean, that would be really kind of suspicious because the cat suddenly went missing overnight, and I mean, the old lady would possibly know that. I mean, she would obviously know that based on her uh, mind, based on the way her mind basically works in the movie, she would obviously figure out that the cats are gone, and that who else could have taken them somewhere but Edgar? Because I mean, the only other person that we see go into that house in the movie, I think, is her attorney. And he likes the cats. So who could it have been? But then again, the old lady thinks that Edgar would never do anything wrong to them. So, and then there's just the plan 5 of just poisoning them. I mean, Duchess is getting pretty old, and the kittens look relatively young, really, really little. So, I mean, it's not impossible. And even if they didn't die right away, like just the sadness of losing their mother and basically being on their own, would probably stress them out and guilt them enough that they would just go, eh, and they would probably die pretty soon. Um, Plan 5. This is going to be the last plan because I'm kind of running out of ideas here. So what else could Edgar do? Well, he's tried food, tried taking them away. He's tried straight up just killing them. He's tried a couple variants of his original plan. So what is this? What is this going to be? Well, near the end of the movie, he's going to send them away to a completely different country so that, quote unquote, they will never come back again. And the country he references is very common reference. He says Timbuktu. I'm not exactly sure what was going on there at the time to warrant such a. But what if he did actually send them there? They got home in the original plan that Edgar did, but it's mentioned by the delivery people that take Edgar's trunk away with him inside that they're taking him to some sort of mill or something. So maybe the suitcase is going to get chopped up or something. I don't know. But if that was to happen, that would be a very over effective way of doing it. So, that's kind of just a overkill way. So, unless Edgar really wanted to do that. So, which one of these plans is the best? Well, in my opinion, Plan 2 is probably the best option. It basically covers everything. The police aren't going to be coming around asking about some cats. They've got some better things to do. Which is why I'm kind of confused that Edgar literally swerves away from the police station when he's about to pass it. Is he afraid that someone's going to see these cats in a basket and say, "Oh, what are you going to do with them? Are you going to drown them or something?" Oh yeah, and also I almost forgot. Plan 6. You basically just drowns them. So Edgar's plan would work if he tried the Plan 2 approach. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. Thank you for watching. And sorry, Matt Pat, for stealing your thunder.